I decided personally that if I was going to buy curtains, I was going to get curtains that fit my aesthetic. So. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Just another struggling writer. The beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Well, today is the start of another writing vlog, week 2 of finally drafting. First, I want to say I had a lot of fun making last week's vlog, and I'm going to try and continue making these writing vlogs in that vein. So I'd love it if you would drop a comment or a like, or let me know if you liked the format as well. And secondly, I am not anticipating a great writing day. It is already quite late. I've had kind of a crazy day. I had 2 doctor's appointments. One I totally forgot about until they called me and said they were expecting me, and a couple of shots, and I had to get my blood pressure taken, but the blood pressure cuff was not working correctly, and it squeezed my arm so tight it made my hand, my hand started to go numb, and it just left marks on my arm. And then I told her that it was painful, and she pulled it off, and then was like, oh, well, I wasn't able to get a reading. Let's do it again. And she tried it 2 more times, and that was unpleasant. And then I had to get 2 shots, and then I came home and I just passed out. And I took a very unexpected nap and unaccounted for. And it really put me behind the 8 ball on getting work done. In fact, today might actually be a negative word goal, because yesterday I wrote a lot of words that I hated and that really have no place in this scene. I was trying to fill out some of the space, and I ended up doing a backstory info dump that really just doesn't have a place here. And what I'm probably going to do is cut it and stash it away in the notes section and save it for later, and indirectly reference the backstory instead, so I can move it along, because it bogs down the scene so much. And I know that's counterproductive. I know I don't have to make it good. I know I should only be moving forward. But I also know myself well enough that if I let this antagonistic feeling I have towards that section fester, it is going to impact my ability to move on. I really don't want to lose that sort of momentum. I really don't want any dread to start developing when I think about working on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to cut, like I said, quite a bit of what I wrote yesterday and stash it somewhere where I can use it later. And I'll just have to try and get back to a word count that I'm comfortable with. So today might actually be my first negative word count day. I'm not going to worry about it. I already plan on using this weekend to get major writing done again, like I did last weekend, hoping for between 3,000 and 5,000 words over the weekend. That'll again put me ahead of the curve. That's the other thing about this is because I wrote extra over this last weekend, I'm actually ahead. So I didn't write on Monday because of reasons, and today is going to be another day where it's going to look like I haven't accomplished anything, but it won't actually put me too much behind, and I'll be able theoretically to catch up over the weekend. So what I'm going to do probably is just set like a 30-minute timer and get as much done as I can in that 30 minutes, and then just call it there, because it's really late already, and I know myself well enough where if I push myself tonight, tomorrow is going to end up as a complete black hole, which it already is in danger of anyway, just on a regular basis because it's Friday. I'd rather put myself in a position to succeed tomorrow than try and push my already weary bones tonight and accomplish something that is less than ideal. So I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to get started. I'm going to do some cuts. I'm going to do some in-draft editing, and I'll check in with you afterward to let you know where I stand. Okay, so half an hour is up, And as expected, I did end up in the negative. I cut almost 500 words and rearranged some stuff, and ended up writing 285 new words. So my net was negative 153, but I feel way better about this scene than I did when I went to bed yesterday. Way better. It still needs some editing, and like my transition from the part where I cut the backstory info dump is not as smooth as I would like it, but I'm moving in a much stronger direction. The scene still isn't finished. I'm anticipating maybe 300 or 400 more words to finish the scene, and then I'll probably do a pass over it like I did with the first scene and try and see if there's any places where I can fill it out a little bit more. So while this day is going to set me back a little bit, I still think it was the right choice. For me, my mood, not my mood, but like how strongly I feel about the direction of the scenes is really important. I hate feeling like I've backed myself into a corner, and I really hate feeling like I have just I've written nothing but filler. And that goes back to my very deep-seated feeling that my writing should be purposeful and it should be moving things along. And yesterday it did not feel purposeful. It felt like filler. And there's just no way that I could feel good or even okay about moving on until I corrected it. Like I said, it's not perfect. It needs a lot more editing and certainly attention and revision, but it's to a place now where I can move on. I am leaving off on a moment that I feel I could continue working, but I'm going to save that energy for tomorrow. And like I said, finish this scene out and then get some edits done. So again, a net negative on the day, word count wise, but a net positive, like emotional feeling wise. So I'm going to go climb into my bed, get some reading done, and I will check in with you tomorrow and we'll do it all again. Hey y'all, I am about to check in for a writing sprint in bed because I have just had a very long, mentally taxing day, and I was quite tempted to skip. Friday, as you know by now, is a black hole of productivity. I tend to earmark Friday evenings as my time free of all obligations in terms of like creative endeavors, which includes reading and writing and filming, but also any other sort of obligations that I have self-imposed on my time. Homework, nothing. I like to come home, throw on some sweatpants, and vegetate, usually in bed. And I have been doing that, to be honest with you. The reason I decided to just move ahead and write was yesterday was a negative day, so it put me back a day for sure. And B, in doing so, that actually put me behind my 1,000 words a day target for the first time since I started. Yesterday was day 6, which means I should have hit at least 6,000 words, but instead I went backwards and I'm now at like 5,200, which means by the end of today, I need to be around 7,000 words to stay on pace. When I realized that earlier, I was like, oh, if I skip again today, knowing that yesterday, while yes, I did work, it was a negative word count day, I'm going to be really behind. And while yes, I do anticipate doing a bunch of extra writing over the weekend, I'm hoping to do at least 4,000 words over the weekend being Saturday and Sunday. I also know that I have done no homework this week. None. And that Sunday, I usually spend a lot of that time doing homework, but also doing chores and generally not in a creative space. What I'm saying is I really can't afford to allow myself to skip days in a week. I could justify one, presuming that I've gotten ahead of the game, which I did earlier in the week, which is why I was allowed to have Monday, but I have not had the kind of productivity to justify a second one. I'm gonna do my writing in bed tonight because I just need to. I can't sit at my desk right now. If you knew what kind of work day I had, you would know I cannot sit at my desk right now. I'm going to sit in front of my TV. I'm going to put on some background noise, and that's how I'm going to do it. But before I do that, I wanted to show you my new backdrop. These are some curtains that my partner and I decided to order after spending the night in Nashville and enjoying their blackout curtains that they had in the hotel rooms. Our window faces fully to the east, and we didn't have any curtains before. we just had the blinds. And so we were just getting blasted by the sun every single morning. And while it's been getting better lately, when daylight savings rolls around, we know that the sun is going to be coming up at like 6 a.m. again. And so we wanted to get out ahead of that, because not only is it disturbing our rest, but it's also getting the dogs up earlier than they would normally get, which of course disrupts us. So we got these curtains. And I decided personally that if I was going to buy curtains, I was going to get curtains that fit my aesthetic. So I am so excited about that. We put them up this evening, and so tomorrow will be the first test. Tomorrow is Saturday, of course, and it'll be the first test to see if they hold up against the full might of the rising sun. But also, in addition to all that, I like it as a filming space now. So, because now I have a nice backdrop. I've got this nice thick like bench style windowsill that I can sit on while I talk to you guys, and I think it'll work out in just about every way, shape, and form. But that's housekeeping. Now is the time to go get my bed and get snuggled up and put some like ambient rain music on and get to work on writing. So I may check in with you when I'm done. Yeah, I'll try and check in with you when I'm done. Unless I just like pass out over my keyboard, which I would not be surprised at all about that either. It's just been one of those days. But I anticipate checking in with you guys in a little bit. Hello again. It is about almost 2 hours later, and I have decided to break for the night. I did not quite hit 1,000. I got 898, so almost there. But I'm at a good stopping place, and I feel pretty confident that I will make up these missing words and the ones from yesterday tomorrow. And I feel really good about this writing session because I finished out that second scene really, really strong. If you remember from last week, I really struggled with the first part of it, and that's what put me so behind, is that I did a bunch of like info dumping and background dumping, and it was kind of garbage, and I knew I couldn't just leave it like that, so I ended up taking out a lot of what I had added on one day and editing it into something that I felt a little bit better about. And with the work that I did on that yesterday, I was able to finish out the scene really, really strong. And one of the great things that came out of the scene is that I ended up overshooting the top end of my word count goal for this scene just by a little bit, by 75 words, but still that makes me feel a little bit better about where I am trending with my word count goals. That first scene was a big struggle for me. I was not quite in my character's voice yet, and I had to actually go in and flesh it out after the fact. And I don't feel like I have to in this scene. In fact, I think it might be a little too long. That is something that I'll have to look at in revisions, whether or not everything that happens in the scene is strictly necessary. But I feel really good about it, and I feel a lot better about my ability to hit my final word count goal of 90,000 by the end of the project. So I finished out this scene the second scene, which comprised the entirety of the second chapter, and then I wrote the first 70 words of the next scene / next chapter. But I'm really tired. It's almost midnight, and I want to leave myself some momentum for tomorrow, when I am hoping to finish out chapter 3, which would give me another almost 3,000 words. So I'm just going to end it there. Like I said, I got pretty close, and I did have to work for it a little bit, but I think it's less because of the material that I was writing and working with, and more because I'm just so out of it tonight. All told, I feel pretty strong about the session and what I was able to accomplish and what I am going to get done tomorrow based on what I did today. My 7-day total is 6,429 words, almost 600 short of where I should be. But again, I'm anticipating making that up. Not too bad. I had one skip day and one day where I had a negative word count because I felt really unsettled by the previous day's just sort of filler writing that I had done, but I was working. So not bad at all. I'm trying to get into a habit of writing every single day, with some exceptions, because there's just going to be some exceptions. That's just all there is to it. And I think part of being successful at writing is knowing your limits and knowing what you're capable of, and then setting goals based on them and not overextending yourself too much. I have a bad habit of doing that, but I have had to train myself out of beating myself up for setting unrealistic expectations. So allowing myself the grace to take a day off, for example, is kind of a new thing for me. So I'm proud of myself for that. Anyway, I'm gonna go blessedly get in bed and maybe do a little bit of reading to wind down, but feeling good, feeling great. Can't wait to get back to it tomorrow. Hello everyone, it is now Saturday evening and I'm about to sit down and start writing for the day. I was quite naughty this morning and pretty much pissed away my whole day, alternating between laying in my bed, sleeping and watching YouTube, or sitting at my computer and playing video games. And then I looked up and all of a sudden it was 5:30 and I hadn't done a single thing. So I've filmed some videos and I have some reading I need to accomplish, but most importantly out of everything is I need to finish chapter 3 today. That is my goal. It is supposed to be about 3,000 words. That will put me in really good shape to catch up on what I had fell behind on, which was about 700 words, 600 words, plus helping me build a surplus for next week in case things go awry, as they sometimes do. So that's my goal. It may take me 3 hours, but I'm committed to sitting here and finishing it. So with that in mind, let's get started. Y'all, it is not going very well. It's been an hour and I wrote 75 words and then I deleted them, and that's really all I've accomplished. To be fair, I've had some distractions and I'm hungry, but I'm also just blocked on this scene. I've been looking over my notes, my outline notes, and then I went back to like the original draft I had tried last year to see how I handled this particular scene. And it turns out that I didn't. I got right up to where I would have done this part of the scene, and then I cut away and started another scene. And I guess my intent was everything that they talk about in the scene was just done off page and implied, and the details of which are revealed in subsequent scenes, which I don't want to do here. I'm being a little bit more intentional about when I'm revealing certain things, and I think the scene is important to actually play out on page. So, but I just think it's interesting that I expect that it probably gave me trouble last year as well, and my solution then was to just skip it entirely. I'm not skipping it this time. I have to power through this, but it's giving me some trouble. I am going to sit here. I've chosen some new music. I'm going to get some dinner sent to me because I don't want to stop and make dinner just for me. Man, it's been real. It's been a real one. I honestly expected to be energized by this scene because it's a big reveal. Sort of. It kind of sets the expectation for the rest of the plot. It's like telling the main character, this is what we need you for, this is what we're asking you to do, kind of like the first step of that. And I expected to be really like excited to write it, but instead I'm like, how would I'm having trouble figuring out how this interaction would actually play out. And I've been looking at it for an hour now, and so I'm gonna get back to work now. But yeah, checking in 1 hour into my evening session and I have 0 to show for it. So I'll check in probably in like another hour and let you know if I've managed to break through or not. All right, y'all. It took me almost 4 hours. But I finally finished what I need to finish. I didn't complete the whole chapter. I finished the bulk of it, the main scene of this chapter, and I did hit 1,814 words. So not only did I get the 1,000 for the day, but I also made up the deficit from yesterday. So I am now 250 words in surplus. So that's good. It took a lot out of me. I struggled a lot to come up with or to figure out how the best way to navigate this very important scene. I think I managed it in the end. The downside is that it's just about 200 words short of my low end word count target. And unlike the previous scene, there really isn't space in this scene to flesh out. There's really nothing more to add without it truly becoming filler, like in the previous scene that I ended up editing out anyway. This feels like it is what it needs to be, so I won't be going in and adding anything additional. I may read through it and clarify certain sentences or areas where where I was just in a flow and just going, but I won't be going through and looking specifically for places to add words. I'm still coming up a little bit short in my word count goals. It is what it is. I'm gonna try and not stress about that too much. So some ups and downs. Some blockage that I had to work through. I'm definitely proud of myself for having worked through it eventually. And I'm proud of this scene. I think I've got some really good stuff in here. At least something to build on for revisions later or subsequent drafts. It was just one of those days where it was not coming. It was not coming no matter how much I tried. And I had to stop in the middle and take a break and eat some dinner and watch some baseball to kind of clear my head. And then as I was sitting there, I was actively thinking through the different paths, the different ways I could approach this scene. And it took me about half an hour to finally, of just working through it in my head to finally come up with the path I ultimately took that resulted in the scene getting written. And like I said, it is just one of those days where you have to work through it that way, where it's not easy. Fortunately, the next scene should come pretty easily, and that'll make up the rest of this chapter. I'm going to try and nudge it towards the top end of my word count goal for that particular scene to try and make up for this one's shortness. I don't know that I can say I feel good about the session. I mean, I do, in that I got my 1,000 words in. I made up the deficit. I'm not behind anymore, but I also I wish I didn't have to spend my entire evening doing it. I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to go get in bed and read a book and enjoy what's left of my night. And I will see you tomorrow. Hello, everyone. It is now Sunday evening, and I have a very quick writing update for you because my camera is about to die. Basically, it was a very busy day because I can't stop procrastinating doing my homework. And so I only just got to my writing just a little bit ago, and by that time my brain was so fried that I decided to just call it at 508 words. That puts me at 8,754, so I'm not too far behind my pace of 1,000 words a day, and so that's really what I'm using to justify calling it early. I had, of course, designs on finishing the scene and finishing this chapter, which would have been a total of 1,200 words at least. I honestly kind of feel lucky that I got anything at all. So, I'm really about to die. That's pretty much it for Sunday. I will check in with you guys tomorrow, hopefully with a stronger update. Hey y'all, it is now Wednesday evening, and I have had a crazy couple of days. And I know that I say that a lot, but the last 2 days have been very, very time intensive and mental energy intensive. And neither Monday or Tuesday really allowed me either of those two things in order to write or read or film content or do anything. I was coming home both nights pretty late and just vegging. It is what it is. I did not plan on that, especially last night where I probably could have squeezed some in right at the end of the day, but I really just didn't have the spoons for it. It was just one of those situations where I was completely tapped out. And honestly, I was almost there again today. The only benefit I had today was that the worst of it was during the workday. And so I came home pretty much at the normal time and was able to have a fairly normal evening. But it still took me a couple of hours after dinner to summon the energy to get my laptop open. All of that to say, I did write. And I am proud of myself, tremendously proud of myself for writing, especially since throughout the entire session, which was about 2 hours, I wanted to stop. Probably every 200 words, I would say, that's enough for today. You've proven your point, you've written. That's enough for today. That's enough for today. You can stop. But I didn't. I pushed through and finished this scene that I left off on Sunday. And it ended up being way longer than I expected. I was expecting the scene to be at the top level, about 1,200 words, and it ended up being over 1,600 words, which is great. It kind of makes up a little bit for some of the areas where I was thin, but I also can see myself cutting some of this later. I won't for right now. I think it's all good stuff. Unlike the last stuff that definitely felt filler, this all feels like good stuff, but I can also see myself finding ways to work it in elsewhere in revision. But that's a problem for future Carrie. Oh no, that's wrong. It ended up being almost 2,200 words. Very, very long. Way long. Almost 1,000 words over my projection. Again, good stuff. All the stuff I just said a moment before still applies. Anyway, but the point is that I pushed through fatigue and malaise and got it done. Just patting myself on the back for that, really, because I was within 15 minutes of falling asleep in my bed at one point this evening. So I finished the 4th scene and the 3rd chapter. I wrote 1,620 words today. That's where I was getting that number. So 1,620. So over the 1,000 words, making up a little bit of ground that I lost the last couple of days. Not too much, but certainly progress. And really finishing the scene was what kept me going. Like, no, I want to finish the scene. I don't want to leave this off again. And at every point that I told myself, just keep going, I kept thinking it's almost over, and then I just kept writing. So maybe that's a good thing. But I did get there in the end, finish the scene. And the other good thing is today's words put me over the 10,000 word mark. So yay! First 10,000 words are in the bag. I am up to 10,379 with projected or hoping for 79,621 remaining. Happy about that. Happy about the way this scene went. This is a scene that I kind of skipped doing last time. The direction, I kind of took myself in a direction I wasn't anticipating the last time I tried this project. And although this particular scene had always been in my mind to write, the way that it ended up, because I didn't do an outline last time. Not really. I had kind of an idea of how I wanted things to go. So while it was kind of planned and pantsed, the way that it ended up going, this scene did not materialize. And it is kind of important. It is kind of the stating of the theme and like the beginning of the main character's arc and kind of stating where she's at now. Isn't that called stating the theme? Or whatever it is when two characters are having a conversation, it kind of states the main character's like current dilemma or place or spot in life or whatever. That's what it does. In writing it, I also established a major character and worked out for myself some questions I had about how these two characters' relationship was going to be on the page. Not only forward movement, not only hitting on its very base level numbers, but also very informative, which is what I needed. And that means with that behind me, I've got one more chapter that's kind of not transient, but like transitional, moving from the moment, the life before to the life after. And then I will be getting into the good stuff, or what I hope is the good stuff. I mean, it's all going to be good. What am I saying? But you know what I mean. The meat, the exciting parts. That is what I have for you today, and that is what I have for you for this vlog, because I skipped 2 days by accident. Not on accident. I mean, kind of on accident. I won't go into it, but Monday it definitely was not happening. And yesterday it just worked out that I just had family maintenance. I'll call it family management. That's a better word. Family management. There was a video I saw on TikTok of a person doing like a stand-up comedy routine, and he talks about how he's the assistant manager in his family and his wife is the manager. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm the manager. I'm working out the schedule. I'm setting the rules and enforcing them anyway. And yesterday and Monday really were big family manager days. Thank you so much for watching and bearing with me. I hope to have more consistency. I think after today, it'll start to feel a little bit back to normal. I did kind of see some of this coming over the weekend. I did know that I would have big family days. I just didn't realize that they would sap so much out of me. And they didn't. It was just, they worked in conjunction with unexpected work things going on. And so I ended up being sapped by the end of the day. Now everything should start kind of easing back to normal. I had a big meeting today, that's behind me, so I can start kind of getting back to a routine, hopefully. But again, appreciate y'all for watching. I do want to mention that between Sunday and today, I've gained something like 10 subscribers, which pushes me way over the 100 mark. I was expecting to like kind of trickle in. But I've gotten a bunch of subscribers this week. Hello, hi, thank you for watching. So I've got to start thinking about how to celebrate hitting that milestone. If you are interested in any videos that you'd like me to do, I highly suggest you suggest them. Otherwise, I may just be as simple as like a book review for a current book or something. Or maybe I'll just talk more about writing, since I do think that my writing videos are getting more traction than my reading videos. But that's what the comment section is for. If you want anything in particular for me to cover, it could be writing topics, it could be reading topics, it could be life topics. I could, pick a subject and we'll talk about it. I'll start mulling over those ideas and work on that kind of video. But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you like my content and want to support my channel, please like and subscribe. It would be so appreciated. In my next video, I will have a reading vlog for you, but it is not like a weekly reading vlog. It is a read-a-thon that I am participating in for the first time for a YouTuber who I really enjoy. I subscribe to her Patreon. She's got a lot of great content there, and I decided that I would try a read-a-thon for the first time. So I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then.